What's going on, guys? Welcome back, and today I'm going to be going through 3 different starter paint sets. So I've got the Army Painter, Vallejo and the Citadel colour. So the way I've done this as well is a bit of a twist, because I've recently been on holiday with my family up to Scotland, up to Fort William, and it was an interesting trip, but knowing that I was also taking the Caledonian Sleeper up, that gave me the idea of, well, a good paint set should be able to paint everything. It should be able to do everything. I shouldn't have to struggle for colours. I should be able to use what I've got to create what other colours I don't have. And this seemed like the perfect opportunity to get this done. As the Caledonian Sleeper, we actually ended up being on there for 14 hours instead of the 13 hours, as the train actually had to stop for an hour due to an illness with a member of my family. They are okay now though. They did spend 24 hours in hospital once we arrived in Fort William, but it's all good. We managed to get them onto the cruise later. We had a lovely time with what we did have up there. I was only there for a few days, so I didn't actually manage to get around to doing all the painting up there just because of certain hiccups, and going out having a nice time and sampling some local whiskies. But anyway, this is about miniatures and models, and I'm going to integrate it with my holiday, so let's get started. So the way I got started to think about these paints was, if it's good for travelling, then it's good for painting. And if I can fit everything in this case, which only cost me $36.99 off of Amazon, is called Case Matrix. I will leave a link to it in the description afterwards. It was a fantastic bit of kit. It perfectly fit my Army Painter wet palette in it, which is just the small one. And yeah, fit spot on. Didn't damage any of my models, kept them all perfectly safe, and there was a lot of moving around. I'd been on the tube, I'd been on a train from Devon to London, dragged it on 2 different tube trains, took it on the Caledonian Sleeper, and then reversed the whole process to go back. And when we were going back, I was throwing it around all over the place, and not a single one of my models has been damaged, so spotty dog on that one. So to start off with, I used the Army Painter set, and once I'd gotten into it, I really liked this one. It came with the perfect colours. It even came with a little paintbrush, which I ended up using, and it even had a guide on how to paint models. So as a beginner paint set, this one is definitely a good start. This is the good start to what I'm trying to achieve, which is a good beginner set, which is a good set just to have in general. If you're going off on a trip or you're going to work, what's a good set? Just minimal paints that can do as much as possible. That's the aim here, and this set was, well, perfect. They've really put a lot of thought into it, and that time and effort has really shown in this final product for this paint set. So let's get on with the painting and see how well it does. Oh yes, no, I like this set a lot. I really like the way the colours ended. I've never used any Army painting before, so using that strong tone afterwards just to give it that wash over before bringing up the highlights again. Really nice paint, really nice colours, and they go on so easily. And again, dropper bottles, so good application. Didn't need to clean my brushes off too much just by getting the paints out of the pots. And the brush that came with it was a good quality brush. I actually ended up using that one more than I used any other brush for the painting of that model and for the next set for when I arrive in Fort William. So let's just get onto that bit, yeah? Right, so now that I'm all settled in to my lodge of the travel lodge, and just in case, you never know, Charlie, if you're watching this, you were absolutely spot on, best customer service I've ever had. Thank you for sorting what you did. You're amazing. You need a promotion. Anyway, moving on to the video again. I keep finding myself on random tangents. So this is the Vallejo game colour, and Vallejo don't really seem to do starter sets, or none that I could find anyway. This one had the most variety in it. It had a glaze medium and a matte varnish, which I found an interesting thing to add into any form of paint set, which is why I went for it. And with the most variety, I thought, why not? Let's get this one. It's the closest thing to what a starter pack would be. So, a couple of issues that I did have with it is there's no black colour, and there's only two types of brass. That's fine, but I would rather have had at least one silver colour in there, because you can mix that with paints in order to make a gold effect or a bronzy effect. But apart from that, this seemed to be the best choice. So that's the one I went with, and that's what we're going to paint with. So let's get into the painting, shall we? Okay then, so third and final paint set, and that is the Citadel paint range. Now, this box comes with some clippers, a mold line remover, and a Citadel starter brush, which is horrendous to use. But I used it nonetheless after I used those clippers to give it a quick haircut, so that it would actually be bloody usable. I was glad when I was finished painting up this model, because it meant I could throw the paintbrush to where it needed to be. That's in an incinerator. Anyhow, let's have a look at how this paint job went. And just so you're aware, this is the paint job that I didn't manage to finish whilst I was on my trip still. So the end of the paint job will be showing my home office desk painting area however or whatever you want to call it. So let's get into it and let's see how the final one goes. So my final thoughts on all these different paint sets, and let's start with the army painter. I would change one thing, and that's add gold. It doesn't need it necessarily, but that's the only critique I have on this starter set. It was brilliant. I would 100% recommend buying this one out of all the sets. The brush that came with it is going to be one of my new favourite brushes. The paints that came with it are going to be my new favourite paints. I cannot suck up to this enough. I think they've really gone above and beyond to create the perfect starter paint. And I would suggest, if I ever go travelling again, I'm going to take these paints with me. Not in the box that they came with, but in an easier to carry lot. I just loved it. It was brilliant. So, moving on to Vallejo. Now again, Vallejo, very good colours, but as I said earlier, there's a few things I would change in here. I would get rid of some of the paints. I would get rid of a brass, and I'd probably get rid of a green. I would put the Vallejo game gunmetal silver in there, and I would also put Vallejo game black into there. I just feel that it's got a grey for lighter colours. If it wanted to get a white in there as well, maybe get rid of the grey, so you've got the black and the white in order to make grey. But I feel like those two little tweaks, it just needed a couple of tweaks, and then it would have been brilliant, especially as a starter set and a good travel set as well. So yeah, let's get on to my final thoughts for this one, which are, it's Vallejo. It's great paint. Everyone uses it. I've used it many times before. It's they're one of my favourite sets of paints. So, on to the last one. Oh, Citadel, please take those starter brushes and burn them. Burn them all. Get rid of them. They are useless. They will turn people away from painting. They're horrible. Put in a decent brush, and I know you do them. Put in a proper brush. Put your paints into dropper bottles, and then we've got a good selection here. You've put some technical paints in, you've got your wash in there, you've got a silver, a brass, a gold, you've got it all. There's enough there to be able to make all the colours that we need to mix and match. But those brushes just need to die a lonely death in a hole somewhere unloved and uncared for. Have I got my point across? Don't use those brushes, they suck. Anyway, I hope you guys have made it to this point. I hope you guys enjoyed my video. I've tried to mix a bit of travelling with a bit of miniaturing. But anyway, please like the video, share, subscribe, and I really do hope to see you in the next one.